Hey guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. I'm super excited because today I am focusing on doing a video that I think will really help you guys. So one of the first really highly asked for topics was tips for the paramedic NREMT test. And I'm gonna say that this goes for the NREMT in general for EMTs and paramedics. I just wanna introduce myself real quick for those of you who don't follow me on Instagram. My Instagram is presleykp.fit. I am a paramedic firefighter. I've been a paramedic for 6 years now. So let's get started. NREMT. Tip number 1, don't wait too long to take your damn test. Don't wait too long to take your test. Don't wait to take your test. Somebody out there is just gonna take too long to take their test. They're gonna wait to take the damn test. I don't know why. For you EMTs out there, if you take your EMT course, take the test within like 2 months after doing it. If you wait too long to take your test, the information is not gonna be there for you as much as it was when it's like fresh and ready in your mind from your course. So don't take too long to test and don't cram. Okay, tip number 2, take as many practice tests as you can, like possibly can. I don't care where you get them from, just take all the practice tests. I actually really like taking practice tests. You want to choose some type of website or database that has a huge test bank of questions. So our instructor in the medic program had us use FISDAP, and I don't know who else uses that, but we used it basically to document and log like all of our clinical patients and stuff like that. But FISDAP had these integrated tests that we were able to take, and our instructor was able to make those available to us and open them back up when all of our coursework was done so we could go back in and study all of those questions. And those are all really similar questions to the NREMT exam. I would highly suggest if your instructor had any, websites or tests that they made you take during your entire schooling, ask them if they can make those available to you to study from when you're done. I mean, if you've already gotten grades on everything, they should be able to go back in, open up those tests for you to practice from. That was really helpful for me. I actually went back through and took every test in there again. Also, make flashcards. I feel like flashcards are really cliche and like, you'd probably expect me to come on here and be like, make flashcards, guys. But seriously, that is how I learn. I mean, flashcards are great. A lot of you guys ask me, how do you still have time to work out and to do all this other stuff? Well, I will tell you what. I made so many flashcards. Like, I'd make flashcards from each chapter, and I would take them to the damn gym with me. I walked on the treadmill with a textbook over the time and everything where you can put like magazines. I'd put my freaking textbook there and like read while I was walking on an incline, or on the stair stepper I'd put my textbook up there and I would read. So this is just an example of like some of the flashcards that I've made. I'm currently now studying for my flight paramedic and my critical care, and all these flashcards here are probably only 5 or 6 chapters worth. So I'll take like little chunks with me for the day. So let's say today I only have this many flashcards. This is what I want to get through today and tomorrow, and I'm going to keep doing it until I know every single answer on these flashcards. So for example, for my flashcards, this one says fentanyl for RSI. That's all it says. And I will basically talk out loud to myself everything that I know about fentanyl for RSI, and then I'll look at the back of the card and I'll see if I missed anything. And I will do these cards as many times as I have to. I don't even care. Don't make them easy for yourself. Okay. Study guides. So study guides helped me a ton, and I can't remember what ones I had, but our medical textbooks that we got for medic school in class, they all came with study guides and like case study reviews, and I actually just went back through those and used them. I also remember at one point I went down to Barnes & Noble and I just found all of the test prep books that I could on the NREMT, and I just sat there and did them in Barnes & Noble. One of the ones that I've used, like just workbooks, is this basic arrhythmia book, and this is from Brady. It's the 7th edition. It basically just has like arrhythmias in it, and it's an entire book. It goes from step to step to step. Just get books like this on individual topics as well, rather than just like one big study guide. Find something you're weak at. I know a lot of people that are weak at 12 leads, so they went and got basic arrhythmia books with 12 leads. Go find something you're weak at and get it. When I was in medic school, one of the topics that I personally was weak at was probably medication math. Not like the basic math for dosing people on drugs, but I was particularly weak in doing all of the drips and infusion rates and things like that. So I went out and I got myself a medication math book, and I worked through the whole book. Another thing that I would do when I was studying is I would take my textbook, and after doing like all the chapters for school and stuff, I would go back and read through every single chapter again. As I would read through the chapter, I would highlight key parts of things that I thought I needed to study. A typical textbook for me looked like this. Like, everybody used to make fun of me. They'd be like, wow, did you just highlight everything? Yeah, because I need to know everything. Could I possibly have highlighted any more stuff? All of the chapters in textbooks, typically, especially medic books, have quiz questions at the end of the chapter. And I would go through and I would write down the question, and then I'd write the answer to it on a piece of paper, and I'd go and check myself in the back of the book. So a lot of times with my textbooks in medic school, you would see that there was just like random pages sticking out of all of my books, and people would be like, what the hell? Another thing with the textbook that I would do is like, I would write down some things in the margins that I didn't know. So for example, here I wrote peak expiratory flow is 350 to 750 mLs. And I would actually write it down just like anywhere in the book. My books are torn apart. This is just one of the versions. We had like a bunch of different sets back when I was in medic school. And I'd do all the questions in the back, I'd write in the margins, I would highlight, I'd underline, I would just write all over these. I mean, you pay like $300 for a textbook. Why are you not going to take full advantage of it? My next tip is to take time to dissect the questions. A lot of times on the NREMT test, they give you way more information than you need. I am an overthinker. I would go through the question and I would take every little piece of information and I would freak out and think that it was super important, when really, just take time to dissect the question and read only the question. They put a lot of unneeded information in questions. You just need to get really good at reading enough questions and knowing what to pick apart. So again, that's going to come down to just practicing and doing study guides and practice tests, honestly. I feel like I can't stress this enough. ABCs, 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 like airway, 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 airway. So I feel like some of the questions, they will give you a lot of information. You'll feel like you need to act on something and you automatically will think that's the answer, but remember your ABCs. When you were in EMT or in EMT class, what did they teach you? They taught you ABC. So what's gonna kill the patient first? That's what you need to figure out in the question, and then that's what you need to act upon. As an instructor, and this applies to, I guess, medics too, but I feel like if you're this far, you probably shouldn't have a problem with this. But for EMT students, I found that there's a huge issue with knowing when to oxygenate versus when to ventilate. For the EMT students, I have found that they fail because they'll say, I'm gonna put 15 liters per minute non-rebreather mask on the patient. The patient, yeah, they needed oxygen, but what they really need is ventilation. Know the difference between oxygenation, which comes with no pressure at all, versus ventilation, where you're actually providing that like positive pressure ventilation to the airways to get the oxygen down there. You need to know what signs to look for that a patient is breathing inadequately. So do I bag this patient versus do I oxygenate them? Most of the answers on the NREMT test are going to be really similar, and you might say, hey, both of these answers are right, but that comes back to which is more right or the most right. It's really frustrating. That was like my major pet peeve, because both of the answers are right. If there's a couple answers that are all pretty right, that's when you need to go back and prioritize what is more right. And I know it's really frustrating, but that comes back to just studying and knowing your stuff. A lot of people have asked me about learning drugs, and my advice to you is, if you're an EMT already running on a service and you're in medic school or you want to go to medic school, pay a lot of attention to the drugs that people are on. If you can get a list of the drugs, whatever you don't know on that list, like say for example somebody is on lisinopril and you don't know what lisinopril is, when you get back from taking care of that patient, look it up. Read everything you can on it. That helps me to learn when I see it in the field versus if I was just reading it in a book. Definitely, like if you know what it is, next time you go to a patient's house and all you have is a list of meds, and say it's somebody who's stroking out and they can't talk and they're on lisinopril, you could be like, oh, they probably have high blood pressure. We've all been to someone's house before where you're like, hey, do you have any health problems? And they're like, no. And then they give you a list of like 20 meds and you're like, okay? It'll help you too in the NREMT test. I promise it'll help you in real life. It'll help you for testing. It's not just one of those things I'm telling you for testing that you're never going to use in real life. If you guys have any questions or anything like that, you can definitely message me on Instagram at presleykp.fit, or you can leave comments here. Just don't sweat it. You know, just take your test. Don't wait too long. Remember the tips. Go in there prepared. Remember, this is people's lives that you're dealing with. It's not just a hurry up and get the information so I can pass the test. This is stuff you're going to use every day of your life in your career if you choose to do this as a career. So I really hope that you don't take it lightly and that you take enough time to study to where you're actually going to be able to take the test, but not enough time to where you're going to forget things. Anyways, good luck to those of you out there who are taking your NREMT exam. I really hope that some of this stuff could have helped you guys. And please like and subscribe if you will. And I think my next couple of tips are going to be on fire stuff and just balancing fitness and whatnot.